All right, everybody, thanks for getting on tonight's open webinar. We're excited to have you. We're excited to talk about crushing the 2024 Open. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mike Behrens. I'm excited to talk to you. I am the supplement guy. I'm here with my man, the WOD Nutritionist, Justin Romer. We're going to talk about crushing the Open and how we can help you do that. So first things first, I want to give you guys a quick overview of what tonight's call is going to be about. So tonight's call is going to be about we're going to talk about the WOD Nutritionist. Justin's going to share with us who this webinar is for. We're going to go over how to figure out and adjust your food intake, how to fuel throughout the day. We're going to talk about how supplements can help you. So let's dive into it. But before we do that, I want to share with you guys this guy, Justin, that you're about to hear from, really knows his stuff. He's somebody that I met and reconnected with a few months ago, got to know him a little bit and reached out to him about doing this. And he was gung-ho, ready to go, excited to do it. And I've seen some of his stuff. He brings a lot of value working specifically with the CrossFit community. And so that's why this partnership works pretty well for us. So I'm excited to have him come on and share with you guys about crushing the Open with your nutrition. So Justin, it's all you, buddy.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Nice to meet everybody. I'm excited to get right into it. So let's do it. So I'm Justin, the WOD Nutritionist. My company, CBG, started 10 years ago, and we're primarily focused on helping CrossFitters lose body fat, build muscle, crush their WODs without tracking macros. So the topic today will be really around crushing the Open this year and then looking strong and getting ready for it all together, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys so that we can get going. Okay, everybody see this okay? Excellent.
Yep.
Okay, so the webinar today is going to be about how to look like you CrossFit, crush the Open, look strong, and get prepared, right? And so the first thing that I want to mention to you guys as a reminder is, number one, we want to be kind, right? I don't mean be kind to other people in the chat, like you guys are going to be nice to each other, right? I already know that. I mean, be kind to yourself, right? There are going to be people inside of this webinar that are 10 years further along on their journey inside of CrossFit. There are already CrossFit Games athletes and people out there that have been doing it way longer. And so in terms of their transformation, their journey, nobody's transformation and journey looks the same. And so be kind to yourself in terms of where you are and love where you are now so you can continue to make the progress that you want, whether it be with your performance, with your body composition, right? Number two, this entire webinar, everything that me and Mike are going to give you is free. Right? So nobody's going to hit you up after this and be like, yo, where's your credit card information for the webinar, right? So you don't have to worry about that. Everything is going to be entirely free. So the purpose of the seminar is to provide CrossFitters the tools to help you look like you CrossFit and crush the Open without tracking macros, right? Hopefully all of you are in the right place. This seminar is for you if you're doing 4 to 5 watts per week, you want to start looking like a reflection of all the hard work that you put in, look like you CrossFit. You want a breakthrough in terms of losing body fat, building muscle, looking strong, and you're tired of under recovering in your workouts, right? In terms of showing your full potential in the Open, we all have that person that we're trying to beat, that we train with all year long in some of the workouts. We want to be able to showcase the hard work that we put in throughout the year. And it's also for you if you're lacking self-confidence, right? You don't really perform the way that you want. Beating training partners are looking the way that you want. And 2024 wants to be your year. You wanna win. This seminar is not for people that want to feel stuck with where they are now. They want to keep going down that same trajectory, right? They want to keep tracking macros forever. Or they don't want to try new things and be optimistic on how to improve, keep yo-yo dieting. It's also not for people that don't care about losing body fat or building muscle or improving on the performance and getting stronger. And it's also not for you if you don't care if you do well in the Open this year. If you just signed up just to be a number at your gym, you don't really care if you do better than previous year, totally fine. But you're not going to get as much value from this seminar or webinar as other people will, right? Or if you're just not excited about the Open at all, right? Then it doesn't make sense. So I want you guys to imagine what it would really feel like to have an Open performance this year where you actually crush it and you represent your fitness for what you know your body's capable of. you can lose body fat, you can build muscle, and you never have to worry about ever tracking macros again, right? And so what I'm going to do is imagine what that's going to look like for you. And I'm actually going to break it down in a proven system for you guys over the next 10 to 15 minutes about how you can do this. And it's going to be entirely for free. And you guys will take these actionable steps with you to get things going, right? Now, when you make the transition, you can expect more freedom, flexibility in your nutrition, in your training. Actually be excited about the workouts that come up in the open instead of feeling nervous and like, man, am I going to do well? I don't know. You're going to have everything prepared to do as best that your capabilities and what everything looks like are, right? And so better performance and a chance to at making and crushing quarterfinals this year. As I think most of you know, they opened up the gap in terms of how many people can make quarterfinals this year. It's 25% instead of the top 10%. That makes things also exciting. So now not only do you get to suffer through a couple weeks, you could suffer through a couple more weeks of actually doing more workouts. And when you make the transition, you can expect less, feeling of lower confidence and self-esteem issues. You actually start looking like you do 4 to 5 watts per week. And this science-backed system will do all the heavy lifting for you guys, right? So what I want you guys to do, because I'm actually going to give a lot of free materials, trainings, and guides throughout this entire presentation. We are very active on Instagram at CBG. If you're not following us on already, go to CBG_online_nutrition and comment for these free guides if any of this stuff resonates with you, so that you guys can get this material for free as well. And this is only going to be for people that are inside the webinar today. So if you pull out your phone, you have it beside you, or you're going on it while we're doing the webinar, just comment for some of this stuff directly in a DM to me, and I can get it to you for free, right? And so the first guide is something we created a couple years ago for really people that wanted to understand the ins and outs of the nutrition leading into the open. And I'm going to go through this inside of the actual webinar today, but you may want it in written format so that you can review it as you get closer and closer to the open, right? And so if you want our free open nutrition guide, I only have 30 free copies of this, but you guys can get it entirely for free if you go send me a DM on Instagram with the word open guide, right? I can get this over to you guys entirely for free. Now, the agenda for today's webinar: you're going to figure out the right calories and macros for crushing the open, looking strong and lean. Also, we're going to go over how to adjust those calories to have and fuel and recover from the open workouts, right? Fuel properly the day of the open. We're also going to go over things not to do before the open, because some people do some stupid stuff right before they go into the open. I see it every single year. And then we'll have a secret surprise from me. And then Mike already said that there's going to be a giveaway at the end. So that's all exciting stuff. So there are 3 reasons why looking strong and nutrition looks different for CrossFitters, right? Versus like maybe someone that just goes to a Globo gym or somebody that just kind of does Orange Theory. This is what kind of separates us. And these are some things on the nutrition side that we need to really be heavily considering when we're making decisions around what we put into our body, right? Number 1, we actually need energy for our workouts, right? Like the workouts that we do, we go to in ranges of our capacity, right? Physically, mentally, and without enough energy, it's not really possible to do well in the workouts, right? And to get the most out of our workouts, instead of maybe someone that just kind of goes to the gym, does the treadmill, does a little lifting. They probably don't need as much energy for their workouts and know how to fuel properly, right? They're not really concerned with performance and hitting PRs in their snatch or making sure that they can, feel good in their squats that day and go heavy. So we actually need energy for our workouts. It's very important, right? Second is losing weight too quickly can result in injury for us. We're at in ranges of motion for when we're doing overhead squats and for when we're doing all these different things. And so those in ranges of motion leave us susceptible if, especially we're not fueling enough over time, for injury, right? Also, if you're not eating enough and you're losing weight too quickly, not fueling correctly, you're never going to look like you're strong, right? And lastly, we have to realize that all calories are not created equal. right? Especially since we have a lot of muscle breakdown from our workouts and our WODs. You need different quantities of protein, carbs, and fat in that distribution to actually recover properly and make sure that you're keeping the muscle mass that you're working hard for, right? So this here is actually the CBG CrossFit Nutrition Pyramid. This is something that took years for me and my team to create, to find the balance between how do we aesthetically look good, strong, and like we CrossFit, and also perform well. How do we do both of those things? Because some people are just focused on one. I just want to look good. I don't really care if I lift heavy or whatever. Or I just want to lift heavy. I don't care if I, have a belly or whatever. We need to marry the two, right? That's what we want as CrossFitters, right? And so this pyramid is something that we've created over the years to help balance that out. And so if you guys want the free CBG CrossFit Nutrition Pyramid, DM me the word pyramid now or after the webinar is over, so that we can get this over to you for free, so you can make sure that you have this in your repertoire of tools to utilize on the nutrition side, right? Okay, so the CrossFit calorie formula for the Open to look strong is this, right? Without enough calories, you have to remember that you won't look strong and have enough fuel to do well in the Open at all, right? And so what I recommend, I have both a male and a female example that you guys can utilize, is take your actual body weight and multiply it by 15 if you're a male. If you're a female, take your current body weight and multiply it by 14. Very simple. So take your current body weight, get on a scale, multiply your weight by 15 if you're a male, 14 if you're a female. This is going to give you around your calorie range of what you need to fuel properly for the Open this year, right? Now, calories, as you can see, is the bottom part of the pyramid. The most important macronutrient for CrossFitters is protein. No question, no doubts about it, right? So protein intake is very important. We get enough. And there are a couple different reasons as to why that is, which I'm going to go over with you guys. And this is actually Dana. She's a client that worked with me prior to the Open last year. She lost 20 pounds prior to the Open, right? Because we don't want to be focused on losing body fat during the Open itself, but before the Open, so that she can get better prepared for some of her gymnastics movements and build a better capacity. And one big thing for her was she had struggled with getting in her protein intake, right? She couldn't hit her protein goals. She tried, couldn't do it, right? Now, the key is not just hitting your protein goal once, but doing it consistently. And so inside of our protein guide, specifically for CrossFitters, we actually provide all of the information necessary. And I built this guide basically for her, and now we've extended it to everybody else for free. So if you want our protein guide, you guys, same thing, go to the Instagram, type in protein, send it in a DM to me, and I'll send you guys the protein guide entirely for free, right? Some of these catchphrases too, you guys can just write them down on your phone on a piece of paper, and you can send them all after, and we'll send you all the guides at one time. That's also fine, right? Now, how much protein should CrossFitters have? So now that we have the calorie range, which is your body weight by 15 for males, 14 for females, we need to know what the protein is going to look like. Like, how much protein do we need, right? If it's the most important macronutrient for CrossFitters, how much do I need on a daily basis, right? CrossFitters need a lot of protein from muscle breakdown and to repair from our metcons, right? There's a lot of muscle breakdown. We need to rebuild those muscles and create new muscle tissue. And so the range is 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. This is the ideal range of where you want to be in terms of your protein goals on a daily basis, right? So if you weigh 150 pounds, you would eat 120 to 150 grams of protein every single day, right? Again, if you want the protein 101 guide, just send over a DM with the word protein and we'll send it to you. Okay, so I want to go through an example of how do we hit our protein goal without tracking macros, right? This is what I'm showing on the screen now is what we call our blueprints here at CBG. These blueprints we create for each and every client, from our games athletes to someone who just walked into a CrossFit gym that works with us in our program, right? These blueprints help develop habits and sync your current life into what you also need to be eating. So you're relearning how to eat without tracking macros, right? So for example, we have a female at 150 pounds and she needs 120 to 150 grams of protein, right? Now, what we need to do is, now that we know the total amount of protein, we need to figure out how many meals, snacks, and protein shakes this person can have throughout a day, right? Very simple. Now, once we figure that out, we just take the total number of meal, snacks, and protein shakes, that's the denominator, protein divided by the total number of meal, snacks, and protein shakes throughout the day. That's going to give us how much protein we need each meal. Very simple, right? Now, you guys are wondering, well, Justin, what the heck, man? This is macros. Like, it's 20 grams to 30 grams. Like, how do I not track macros and do this, right? No problem. This is where our portion size guide, macro cheat sheet, and several other tools come in to help you realize and understand how to do this, right? So 30 grams, for example, right? And this lady here at 150 pounds needs 20 to 30 grams for every single meal. We know 30 grams is the size of a cell phone. Very easy, right? This is 5 ounces. This is 30 grams. So if she needs 20 to 30 grams, she needs between a deck of cards, which is around 20 grams, and a cell phone, about 30 grams for each meal. Protein shakes, you guys know, 1 scoop is between 20 to 30 grams, which is also very easy. This is how you can hit your protein goal starting tomorrow without tracking macros. You already know you're going to hit your protein goal if you have between a deck of cards and a cell phone, a protein for each number of meals, if you're having 5 meals per day, and a protein shake post-workout. Very simple, right? Now, we do have a recipe guide that actually has high protein examples in it that fit directly into these blueprints that you guys can have for free as well. It's our CrossFit recipe guide. And so if you guys want access to the CrossFit recipe guide, all you got to do, DM the word recipe over to me on Instagram, and I'll send you the recipe guide entirely for free, right? So you can spice up things in the kitchen a little bit more than slapping stuff on the grill and, peas on the stove, which is what I usually do to get everything done, right? We need some creativity. Okay. So now I want to shift to carbs. Now that we know the calories and we know the carbs and the protein, we need to shift over to carbs, right? And so CrossFitters need a lot of carbs because that allows us to fuel for the workout and then recover from the workout after. Even though it's not the most important macronutrient for CrossFitters, it is the primary fuel source, right? The direct fuel source that our body utilizes is glycogen. Glycogen is stored carbohydrate in the muscle. And so without enough carbohydrates, we don't store enough carbohydrates in the muscle, and then we feel depleted during our workouts, right? This is why we should be encouraging people to, hey, you should try to have something to eat prior to working out, or some intra-workout carbs and some of these different things, right? And so this stuff is very important, right? So what is the range, right? The range of carbs that you should have is 1.5 to 2 grams per pound of body weight, right? So example again, 150-pound female, eating between 225 and 300 grams of carbs daily if you're doing 4 to 5 watts per week, right? Now, I know carbs can be tricky. A lot of us can be scared to eat enough carbs. And what is the right carb range where I'm not gaining unwanted body fat, but also fueling enough for my workouts? What the carbs guide does is it actually goes through the timing of different carbs, what carbs are best, and what all that looks like, right? So if you guys want our Carbs 101 guide, same thing, DM the word carbs over to me on Instagram, and I'll get it over to you for free. So what does that look like in terms of the blueprints, right? So without tracking macros, we have a female at 150 pounds. She's eating 225 to 300 grams of carbs. We do the exact same thing we did with the protein. We basically take the total number of meals and we divide that by the number of carbs that she's having. Carbs divided by number of meals. It comes out to 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrates each meal. Workout carbs also included, which are also very important, quick digesting carbohydrates, right? Now, Justin, what the heck? 40 to 60 grams of carbs sounds like tracking macros. Not really. 40 to 60 grams of carbs is around 1 to 1.5 cups of carbohydrate, right? Oatmeal, rice, you name it, right? And so that's the size of a baseball or the size of a fist. Very simple, right? And so that allows for you now to understand what your carbohydrates should look like for each meal in all 5 meals of the day, if that's how many meals that you're actually going to be eating, as demonstrated and illustrated in the blueprint here, right? Now, this can be kind of confusing to figure out, okay, so what are the sources of carbs that I had to choose from, Justin? What are the protein? What is the fat and the vegetables? Like, how does it all connect to make a blueprint for myself? No problem. The best resource, if that seems like something where you're a visual learner and you actually want to learn what the different sources of protein and carbs are to fit into your blueprints might look like, is through our macro cheat sheet. Our macro cheat sheet comes to every single one of our paying clients with their blueprints. Their macro cheat sheet shows them how to go from the food to the macro to the portion size that then fits into their customized blueprints that we've created for them, right? You're creating your own customized blueprint. So you're going to need the macro cheat sheet. So if you want the macro cheat sheet, DM me the word macro cheat sheet on Instagram. You'll get it for free so that you can actually start building your blueprints out with the meals and the foods and with your schedule for what you need, right? Now, this is Chandler. Obviously, a lot of us know who Chandler is. I've been working with Chandler for the past year and a half. And something that was a big struggle for Chandler was not only eating enough throughout the day, but eating enough prior to competition. Chandler really struggled with feeling like nervous prior to competition and like the big day, right? As most of us would, right? I would probably be throwing up every day leading into the CrossFit Games if I made it, right? Which would never happen. But it's a lot of pressure, and so we want to make sure that we're still trying to actively eat prior to going into big situations like this, right? For some of us, that's the Open this year, right? It's going to that first workout on the Open, next workout, and then the nerves, they kind of start to settle. And so what's important is definitely making sure that we have enough carbs to fuel our bodies properly for the Open. So what we did with Chandler, what we've been doing for all of his competitions, Rogue, when he just competed the games last year, is something called carb loading, right? Carb loading is where we just increase another 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrates every day leading into the Open. And you can do this 2 to 3 days prior to the Open to make sure that you have enough. For females, it's around the 40 to 60 range. For males, it's around the 60 to 80 range more that you want to incorporate, right? And so what that might look like on the blueprints is, for the female example that we provided earlier, 40 to 60 more carbs highlighted here in red, maybe at dinner time, which is meal 4. Right? And incorporating those more carbs are going to allow for you to actually know you're getting the fuel you need leading into the Open. And so you can incorporate carb loading just a couple days prior, right? Very simple, very easy. So this is actually Morgan, and she made it to quarterfinals last year. The prior year in 2022, she didn't make it. A big change that we made was her nutrition. Obviously, it plays a huge, huge impact in you being able to fuel properly and reach some of your goals to actually get stronger and hit some of your gymnastics movements, everything like that, right? And so something we focused on with her was not just fat loss, not just building muscle, but body recomposition. Body recomposition is where you actually build muscle and you lose body fat at the same time, right? And as you can see through her transformation, that's exactly what she did, right? She lost body fat and she gained muscle at the same time. I have a free training and video guide on body recomp that I actually created as a result of working with Morgan and all of her success and hard work. And so if you want the body recomp guide, and this is maybe more in tune with some of your goals, go ahead and DM me the word body recomp on Instagram, and I can send you the body recomp training video entirely for free, right? So that you can reach quarterfinals in 2024. So this is what an entire day of the Open blueprint might look like. So now you guys know your protein, you know your carbs. The only thing left is sprinkling some veggies in there, and then fats, which will be the remaining calories that you guys have left over, right? That you can incorporate directly. Some supplements that could be very, very useful are creatine JB and then extreme endurance, which I think Mike is going to talk about a little bit later, right? So he'll go over that. He's the expert. But this is what a day in the life of an Open blueprint might look like, right? This is Danielle. Obviously, a lot of us know who Danielle is. I've been working with Danielle for about 6 months, right? Since the games ended last year, basically, right? She came to me and said she feels like what's missing for her is the nutrition piece. It's not the training, it's not her mindset, it's the nutrition side. And making sure she eats enough leading into competition and making sure she eats enough throughout competition, right? You guys see Danielle everywhere. I'll give you guys a little secret. Danielle is very busy. She's doing this for one person. She's doing this for another person. She has a lot of responsibilities as an athlete, right? Into her training, to her craft, but also to other people that she works with in her community, right? It's very hard for Danielle to eat enough. Very, very hard. It's also a challenge for me to coach her on how to eat enough. You guys, believe it or not, right? And so we're working on it. We're always fighting it, right? And so helping Danielle get away from tracking and the stress of like, oh, what am I eating next? Every single gram of food that I'm going to eat. I don't know what I'm going to do next. And this sort of decision fatigue led her to not ever eating enough for what she needed in her training, right? So when me and Danielle started working together and I created the blueprints for her, it took all of that stress away about how much she needed to eat and her meals. Everything fit inside of her life with the number of meals she needed to eat, when she was going to be eating throughout the day, so that she can build habits and build structure, right? A lot of us out there tracking macros are just randomly eating throughout the day. Like, oh, let me fit this here. I got this much grams left. That randomness is not allowing you to build habits into your life. It's kind of like saying, hey, I'm going to wake up today. I don't know when I'm going to work out. I'll just figure it out as I go along. Nobody does that. We're either a 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or we're going right after work. That's it. Like, we build structure and habits in our life because that's how we are as humans. That's what we do. You need to do the same with nutrition. You can't blindly follow macros and just sprinkle them in throughout. Oh, I think I'm going to eat this sandwich from here and then I'll see what I have left over later. You're not building any habits, right? So the habits are the most important thing. And I think that's why Danielle's been successful on the blueprints thus far and has been able to eat enough, right? Okay, so some bad news. There are some things you can't change prior to the Open, right? We're only a couple weeks away, and I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, you should do all these different things, change this, change that, do all the. There are some things we can't change and shouldn't change leading into the Open this year, right? And so rule number one is, if you care about your performance in the Open and you want to fuel properly, do not go into an intentional calorie deficit, meaning eating less than the number of calories that your body needs, right? Or that your body burns. This is not the time to be focused on losing a bunch of fat or losing a bunch of weight to prepare for the Open, right? Maybe some of us are like, man, it would be great to lose like some body fat these next couple of weeks because I really struggle with gymnastics. I really struggle with my conditioning. You're not in a healthy way going to lose enough weight that's going to make an impact. And if you do it in an unhealthy way, you're going to risk yourself feeling super under recovered, and you're going to risk yourself feeling super underfueled and possibly injured, right? How many athletes do we hear every single year can't compete in the Open that are games athletes? The reason they miss the games is because they couldn't do the Open, which is easy for them. They just got to go out there and they could do it on one leg, hobbling around with one arm. They can't even do that because they're injured. So now they miss the games. The reason is because their nutrition is not where it's supposed to be and they got injured. They're overtraining, under recovering, or both. So we don't want to go into the Open underfueled, being at a calorie deficit, think we're going to lose all this body fat and get our first ring muscle. It's not going to happen, right? You're going to get your first ring muscle up in the Open, or you're going to crush and feel good in your gymnastics because you're fueling your body enough, right? So that's rule number one. Now, this is actually our most popular guide. It's like crazy, for females only, obviously. And it's cycle syncing during the Open, right? So a lot of females, obviously, you go through your follicular phase, your luteal phase. You're going through, obviously, your menstrual cycle, but then you also have ovulation, and hormonal changes are happening, right? And since those hormonal changes are happening, your body needs different nutrients at different times. Sometimes carbs need to be up. We have more cravings. And so in the Open, multiple weeks throughout the Open, you're likely to go through both your luteal phase and your follicular phase, right? And so we need to figure out what nutrition, how it might look different during that time frame, right? And so something you can do is, because I don't have enough time to go over it in the webinar today, is to DM me the word cycle or a cycle guide, my team and me know exactly what you're talking about so that we can get you the free guide that can support you to do this, right? Rule number 2 is if you want to perform in the open this year, you don't want to make any drastic changes, right? I just watched this crazy plant-based documentary on Netflix. My blood was boiling. Don't switch up to any crazy, don't do this. Tom Brady is vegan. We don't care. Don't switch up to some random weird diet with organs, meat, or nothing. Don't do anything like that. Don't switch to intermittent fasting. Don't do this. Play with your carbs and your fats a little bit and your proteins. Figure out what's going to work best for you. Plan, build habits, structure things, but don't switch up composition. Don't switch up a bunch of crazy stuff because it's something you've seen on TV a couple weeks before the open, right? Just don't get a fat burner. Like, we don't need to do any of this stuff, right? So those are the rules. Now, my story is, as you can see in this picture, I started off as a very low confidence kid, middle school through high school, even through college. And I started CrossFit. And when I looked around my gym, I was like, okay, the reason I started CrossFit is because I want to make body composition changes. That was it. I didn't really care if I got double unders or any of that. Now we do care. We're in a gym for like 3 months and we're like, we want double unders, we want bring muscle ups, we want to get our first handstand push up. And we start really appreciating our body for what it can do and not just what it could look like. Right. And so I realized that I need to create something that was specific to me that would allow me to reach my goals. I started tracking macros and I was like, there's no way that this is actually real. Like, I have to do this every day, track every gram of food. There's no possible way I'm ever going to do this. And so I stopped. And so what I did was I built our blueprint system and everything else. And in 2015, when I was 210 pounds, I actually was tired. I was irritable. I didn't want to do anything. I was doing paleo, zone. I tried macros, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, Herbalife. If Ozempic was out then, I probably would have tried that. I would have done anything, right? I was just like in this place where I didn't know what to do. I was doing CrossFit 4 to 5 watts per week. I wasn't getting anywhere. I still looked the same, right? And then I realized I can only get so far down the runway and then I would crash. I developed my system. In 16 weeks, I dropped 20 pounds. And then I helped and now help thousands of CrossFitters do this all around the world, right? And so the secret to body composition changes, and I'll let you guys in on this because like I'm very passionate about this. When we do workouts at our CrossFit box, right, especially the cardio-based movement, our Metcons, that's for heart health and cardiovascular health, which is very important. When we do strength training and we're doing heavy weight on the bar, we're doing cleans, that's for long-term functionality. Doing that now is going to save in your 70s and 80s being able to get out of bed and do the things that you love and what you want to do, right? Neither of those things are meant to be and should be to make body composition changes. The way you make body composition changes is through nutrition and what you eat. That's it. It's the best leverage. You guys are like, man, I'm busy. I got kids. I got a full-time job. Blah, blah. I'm going to add in more workouts. Add in more workouts. You burn 200, 250 calories in a CrossFit workout. That's one donut. You're not going to reach your body composition goals adding more workouts. Because what happens is when we start CrossFit, when we do CrossFit, our metabolic rate goes up, our appetite goes up, but guess what? We have the same poor nutrition habits that we had before. So now we're just eating more of the wrong things, fueling our social life, not our WODs. And we just put on more weight or stay the same. Nothing changes despite doing 4 to 5 watts per week. I'm gaining weight on the scale. I'm gaining muscle, but I'm also gaining fat. I just told you why that's happening. We need to get the nutrition habits in check, be able to do this. And so that's where the intrinsic diet comes in. And I think that something that I described throughout this with the blueprints really gives a glimpse of what our intrinsic diet is to really understand how to, understand your intake without tracking, right? And so a lot of us are in this state where we're experiencing this identity crisis. And that's where we feel like we have this perception of how people view us and we act in according to that, right? And so that's our own self-esteem and confidence issues getting in the way because we're not doing and putting in the work where we feel we should be, right? And so to create lasting change, what you have to do is you have to shift your identity and implement habits, or you will simply revert back to your same self-image that you have of yourself and how you think people look at you. And so otherwise, will be the same and will never change. And so eventually there needs to be a time where we see potential in ourselves. That potential should be harnessed, protected, and we should take action, because action is what's going to allow us to finally see the results that we want. When we see results, we have more belief in ourselves, and then this cycle really perpetuates, right? And so this is something that happened with Gwen, right? She was finally looking like she CrossFits. She said, I'm never going to track macros again, right? And she was in our body recomposition program at the time. As you guys can tell, she lost body fat and gained muscle at the same time, doing the same number of workouts that she was doing before. She didn't change the number of workouts. She didn't start running marathons. Like, she just started focusing on the nutrition side. But this is not this easy sort of just like, oh, okay, like we're just gonna, hey, that's all we got to do. That's it. No, it's not a one and done thing. Like, this is a lifestyle. Like, this is something you have to keep up with. The supplements that you take, time you go to bed, the food that you put into your body, meal prepping weekly and consistently. This is not a one and done thing, right? And so the best diet's going to be the one that you can stick to. You're never going to eat always the cleanest foods, right? Track macros the rest of your life, or just do meal replacements. You have to create flexibility in your actual life, right? By putting your favorite foods inside of it without tracking. And so that's something that we teach our clients how to do as well, right? How many of us like eat the same foods every day because we don't want to mess up MyFitnessPal and we just want to make it easy to fit everything in there? That's what we do, right? So the whole purpose of macros is to be flexible, but it doesn't necessitate dietary flexibility, because now you're not even switching up the foods that you like because you just want to hit the numbers. Make it make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. We want the dietary flexibility. That's the whole point of macros. And you're not doing it just so you can hit the numbers that are in the macros, right? You're kind of a slave to the app, right? Like, just sticking in there, just doing it, right? And so when you get this, you'll finally be able to relieve yourself of the anxiety, the frustration, obviously getting predictable results no matter what, right? Regardless of weddings and birthdays and all this stuff, right? And so there are really two options. The first option, you can go back to life as usual, right? You can just go feeling underwhelmed with your workout, your confidence, like everything we kind of chatted about. You could say, thanks, Justin, great information for the guides. Appreciate you and Mike. Sweet. See you at the next one. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we're going to give this, some sort of webinar. Me and Mike were talking before, once a month, once every couple months for you guys for free, right? We're here to help. But option two is that you make this really a defining moment, right? And you say, you know what? I had enough. I'm sick of not losing weight. I want to build muscle. I actually want to get stronger. I'm tired of starting over. And the truth is, you ultimately have control over this. Right? Like, this is your responsibility, right? As the person that you want to be. And so you don't have to let this be another moment, right? There's an easier and faster way, and that's through actual building relationships and coaching, right? A lot of us out there in this place, we're like, man, we know what to do with nutrition. This is easy, man. Come on, you can do it, right? This is almost the same as like you trying to teach yourself CrossFit. None of us taught ourselves CrossFit. We all went into a gym one day and we found that first coach that taught us how to do our first power clean, taught us how to do our first handstand push-up, right? Like our first kettlebell swing, whatever, right? It's the same with coaching on the nutrition side, right? Oh, I know my protein intake, this. You know what you need to do, but you're having trouble knowing how to implement it. That's where coaching comes in. Oh, I know what a power clean is. You just do this 1, 2, 3. But when you do it, you're like, you don't know how to do it until you actually try and you actually have somebody coaching you right there helping you, right? And so even our games athletes that we build these relationships with, they don't track macros, right? None of them. Danielle, Justin, Trista, and Chandler, and everybody else we showed during this entire presentation, And one cool thing, especially for a lot of you guys that are out there, like, Justin, I don't care. I look fine. I just want to do performance and I'm here for the open webinar. Awesome. Whenever we quit tracking and we can actually understand our intake without tracking and every single gram and all this stuff that we're doing, now we have more bandwidth to enjoy life, play with our kids, and do fun nutrition stuff, like cool, like exciting, like performance-based nutrition stuff. When we're tracking, we're just like, that's all we have time to do is like hit the numbers in the end. Now we can do other stuff. And that's where I think our more high level athletes kind of really experiencing things from, right? So if you guys want proven results, I have something special for you guys. It's only going to be for the members of this webinar only. And it's going to be your job to take advantage of it, right? Because it's really up to you to make the changes in your life that you want to make, right? It's really that simple. And so if you want to look like you CrossFit and you want to start making those changes in just 4 weeks, right? We're not going to be going to the CrossFit games, having a body of our dreams in 4 weeks, right? But if you want to start making changes in that direction, and you know the nutrition is the biggest struggle for you, you've already been trying on your own, we have 8 spots open, specifically working with people throughout the open and quarterfinals, right? And in this special promotion, you guys will get special pricing for this. If not, you'll get your money back if you don't see any changes within the first 4 weeks, right? And so what to do next is same exact thing that I told you guys in terms of DMing. Just DM the word ready. This is our keyword to know that you guys are ready to make the changes in your life. You want to go for it. We'll give you guys some other contact information, email and stuff, where you can email me directly if you prefer to do that versus Instagram. And yeah, and these are some of our transformations for 2023. We helped over 600 CrossFitters in 2023. Pretty crazy. Yeah, it's really, really nuts as to how many people we were able to like help, because for me, it was used to be like 5 a year. I'd be like, this is awesome, like people at the gym I was at, and now it's like so many more people. So it's pretty exciting, so I appreciate you guys for listening. It's been really fun talking to you guys about this. If you can't tell, I am passionate about finding solutions for people to not have to do this anymore. And I think nutrition is the missing piece for so many people out there. So I appreciate you guys. Mike, it's all you.
Yeah. No, yeah, dude, that's great. That's great. Stop sharing your screen so they can see me again.
Yeah. Let me do this.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks for that, dude. Like, yes, we can definitely tell that you are super passionate about helping people getting their nutrition dialed in. And I agree with you. It is the first thing that you can do. And so as a supplement guy, like I always talk about food first. And so we're going to dive right into this. We're going to talk about supplements. I want to give you guys some tips. You got a ton of information there about how to, dial in the nutrition. And that is a perfect lead in to what I want to talk about when it comes to supplements, because supplements can be huge, but there's so much misinformation out there. There's so many things that people just don't know. There's so many supplement companies that are, trying to pull the wool over your eyes, that don't know what they're doing, don't know what they're talking about, give you bad information, all this kind of stuff. So I want to talk about that. And that's kind of my passion, is to kind of cut through the BS and give people some great information about supplements. So first thing I want to do is I want to talk about, what does CrossFit HQ say about supplements? The only supplement that CrossFit HQ really specifically recommends is a fish oil, omega-3 fish oil, because there's incredible research behind it and how important it is and the things that it can do, but they don't really say much else. The CrossFit Nutrition course dives into some of the information around supplements, but they don't go too crazy in depth about recommending supplements. And that's because, like Justin was just talking about, food first, always, 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 no matter what. I'm a supplement guy. I've made a living for the last 10 years helping thousands of people live healthier, perform better with supplements, but I still always say food first, because that's the truth. But let's talk about why we would need supplements in addition to the food. Justin kind of talked about some of this stuff already with the poor food quality that's out there, making sure you're making good choices. That's a great reason to supplement, to fill in some of the nutritional gaps. Another thing, the environmental toxins that are out there, so you can help fight off all the things that come into our bodies, all the things, pesticides and things like that, that get put into food. Then there's a lack of variety in nutrients. Justin talked about that when it comes to counting your macros. The lack of variety, you don't get the wide array of nutrients. One of the biggest questions I get from people is, do you even need supplements? And the simple answer is no, you don't need supplements, but supplements can be a great benefit to you in hitting your performance goals, living healthier, doing all those things. And that's just one of the reasons, because most people eat the same 5 things all the freaking time, right? So then the next thing is the the key part of supplements, and why we're talking about it here, is you can improve your performance. You can fuel better, you can improve the performance, and really maximize all of the training and the nutrition that you're doing by supplementing your healthy diet. And then the last thing is longevity. I would be remiss to say that what's the word? That's the expression. I would be leaving it out, or feel bad if I left it out, talking about the longevity piece when it comes to supplements, because when it comes back to the meeting and nutrition quality and the nutrient density and all that kind of stuff, supplements can play a huge role in that. Okay. So that's why supplements. But with the supplement world, a lot of times people want to jump to the fancy ones. Everybody wants to get the pre-workout. Everybody's heard about a pre-workout. They want to get that sick pump and get a good bro session in the gym. It's all great. It's all well and good. Or then, I see a lot of things online where people are digging into one specific supplement or one specific nutrient or macronutrient, or not micronutrient, vitamin, mineral, to fix a certain thing. And that's cool and that's great, but you've got to address the foundation from a supplement perspective. And if you're not addressing the foundation, stacking the more pointed supplements on top of it are only going to do so much. So I'm a huge advocate of really dialing things in, like with what CrossFit HQ says, getting a good quality fish oil, but then also getting a multivitamin. You think about it, with a foundation of everything. And Justin just gave us a masterclass on nutrition and building that solid foundation. Then you can use fish oil and supplementation to fill in those nutritional gaps. So now you have a rock solid foundation to build a massive house on, right? And so that's super important when it comes to building your foundation. What to look for, what to avoid in supplements. A couple things that are really important when it comes to supplements. You want to make sure you're looking for something that's banned substance free, specifically in the world of CrossFit. If you have any aspirations of qualifying for quarterfinals, semifinals, or the games, you definitely want to make sure that you're not taking any banned substances. Good way to do that is certified via Informed Sport or NSF. Those are the two certifying bodies that check all of the supplements to make sure that they're tested for banned substances. Most companies use one of those two. They're both comparable. I don't think there's much of a difference anymore between the two, except Informed Sport checks every single pallet that gets tested, that shipped to them, and they test every single batch, where NSF, I think, doesn't test every single batch, but the majority of the batches. Either way, you definitely want to make sure that you're checking to have the certifications on it. Then you want to make sure you're getting an adequate dosage. And what I mean by this adequate dosage is, I'm going to use a silly example, but this is to illustrate the point. If I'm a supplement manufacturer and I make a protein product, I can claim all the benefits of it, muscle recovery, building muscle, strength gains, all this kind of stuff, if it has 2 grams of protein in it. Now, we all know that 2 grams of protein isn't going to do much for you when it comes to building muscle and gaining strength. So make sure that when you're looking at a protein or whatever it is, that you have an adequate dosage. Adequate dosage of protein is going to be minimum 15 grams of protein per scoop, but more likely to 20 to 25 grams of protein per scoop. So you want to make sure you're getting an adequate dosage for what you're spending. If you're buying 2 grams of protein and it only costs you 20 cents, okay, then maybe it's worth it. But if it's 2 grams of protein for $3, that ain't worth it, right? So you really want to make sure that you're looking at the dosages levels. And then the last thing is, you want to check the ingredient quality. So do your research, check the company reputation, make sure that these companies are not getting dinged for spiking their proteins or putting banned substances. Just do your research and make sure that you know, like, and trust the company that you're working with. A couple things to avoid: artificial flavors, artificial dyes, artificial sweeteners. Anything artificial, just avoid it. You don't need it, right? Like, it's not going to be good for you. The artificial flavors and the dyes are super sneaky a lot of times. And the sweeteners, there's some of them that sound like they might be okay. The two biggest culprits in the world of supplements are sucralose and aspartame. Those two are the most prevalent ones in the world of supplements. And if you can avoid those, that's huge. And then you don't want to have any added fillers. And then, just to stress that point of the underdosed ingredients, That's super huge. So really make sure that you're taking the time to actually read the label. I've been in the supplement game for 10 years, and it's always funny to me that when I talk to people, they immediately want to know every detail of every product or every ingredient that's in the supplements, but then they don't do that with their nutrition and they don't do that with their food choices. And then they realize, oh, this sucralose is in my food that I eat all the time, so it must be okay. But the reality is it's just not. And so it's a lot of things you really got to do. So do your research, use Google. Google's a great thing. I got a thing the other day. Somebody messaged me about sodium chloride. They were concerned that it was going to be not good for them because sodium chloride, I mean, that sounds kind of like chlorine. I mean, man, that can't be good for me, right? But sodium chloride is salt. So like do your research, use Google. It'll definitely help you in getting a better bang for your buck with the things that you're purchasing. So for performance, I like to stress 5 supplements that are really going to give you immediate impact for performance. Now, I know the Open's coming up in 2 weeks. We got 16 days before the first announcement. So can you really get a benefit from supplements in that time? Yeah, you actually can. And so there's a couple of them that are going to take a little bit longer to give you true benefit. Now, let me caveat all of this by saying everybody's different. Your individual body might react differently to a supplement than someone else. So always, always, always do your due diligence and make sure you're making the right choice for you and testing these things. And this is the most important piece. Would I say implement these products today for the workout on Thursday, thinking you're going to get results? Probably not, or it's not going to make that big of a difference. Or should you try a pre-workout prior to that, the 24.1, right? Like the first time you ever tried it was right before that. No, don't, because you could get blown up. You could have whatever's going on. So just don't try brand new things. Now, though, would be a great time to try something this week. Try it, see how your body reacts to it. And then when the Open announcement happens, then you are at least accustomed to it and using it. So a couple products that I want to stress to you guys that are going to give you actual benefit for 24.1. If you started taking them right now, you would definitely have a benefit. So first one, creatine. This is probably, it's the number 2 most researched supplement in the world. It has been proven safe and effective time and time again. This is great for men and women. So everybody can benefit from this because it helps fuel your cells, helps restore energy in your cells. And when I like to say, when your cells are happy, your body's happy, and creatine is going to help make your cells happy. So there's a lot that it can do. Couple points with creatine: make sure it's creatine monohydrate. If you're not taking creatine monohydrate, you're probably paying a premium for a fancy marketing term. And the best form of creatine monohydrate that you can get is from a manufacturer called Creapure. It's based out of Germany, but the way they filter the creatine makes it 99.98% pure creatine monohydrate. You cannot find a better, more pure creatine on the market. And other companies who put creatine monohydrate in their products that don't say Creapure on the label are just not as pure. Next supplement that I would recommend: protein. Justin talked about it. You got to get your protein goals. Protein is huge. It's the most important thing for CrossFitters to make sure you're hitting protein. You want to get a gram of protein per pound of body weight every single day. That's huge. That's super important, specifically post-workout to help with recovery process. There's different types of protein. Hydrolysate is the fastest absorbing one. You've probably heard about whey concentrate as well. That's it's fast absorbing, but of the whey proteins, it's the slowest of the 3. There's whey concentrate, whey isolate, whey hydrolysate, and whey concentrate is going to be the least filtered protein. So it's going to be the hardest one for your body to process versus the isolate and the hydrolysate. That's where you might have experienced protein farts in the past. It's because the whey protein is a little bit harder for your body to process. So that's great for hitting your daily goals. So look for a good, clean, quality protein when it comes to recovery. Next thing is electrolytes. Electrolytes are huge. There's so many electrolyte products on the market. There's some that are out there that are just full of salt, which is great. Salt is great. Your body needs salt. You need lots of salt, but then there's not as many other electrolytes in there. And I think the other electrolytes are huge and important for you to get as well. So always look for something that has a good amount of salt and a good amount of added electrolytes to make sure you're getting the stuff that your body needs when you're hitting those workouts. And then you want to make sure you're keeping sugar at a minimum. Now, I'll point out one specific product that comes up a lot, and it's a product called Liquid IV. People use that as a hydration product, but they're always so concerned about the amount of sugar in it. The reality of that is that would, to me, that would be more of a carbohydrate based product. That would be more of a carb fuel product than a hydration formula. So if you want to use it as carb fuel, which we're going to talk about in just a second, that's fine. But for as a hydration formula, it's not the best option for you. And you should probably stay away from it for hydration specifically. But from a fueling perspective, like Justin talked about, carbs are our friends. Carbs are great for fuel, and we need those. And a lot of people don't like to eat a bunch of stuff pre-workout. So if you can fuel with some carbs, a carb powder, like a liquid IV or something like that, that has some fuel in it, your body can definitely get a benefit from it. And then post-workout to restore the glycogen that you depleted could be huge. And how do these things factor in for leading up to the open? Well, the protein and the carbs now are going to help you recover as you get closer to the open, so that you're not at a detrimented state. What's the word? Whatever, a lower state as you get closer to the open. You can use the carbs and the protein right now. So if you can't get it with supplements, fine, use it with food. Justin talked about all that stuff. Fix it with your nutrition, get the proper protein and carbs. But when it comes to the open, if you're really trying to hit a good workout, fueling pre-workout with carbs is awesome. I've been doing it for years, and it's an awesome thing to do to get to hit your goals. And if you're trying to do workouts back to back or whatever, if you've got a long WOD, depending on what the workouts are going to be, it's great. And so those are the four that I usually start with. But this last one, this is the only time that I'm going to like sell you guys on anything. And the only reason I'm going to sell this is because I have never seen another product like it on the market. Okay. Now, full disclosure, I am affiliated with this brand, X Endurance, but this is a lactic acid buffer product. It's called Extreme Endurance. And basically what it does is it makes you not gas out as fast. So think about it. If you're doing Karen, you're hitting all those wall balls, you can do more. You know, if you usually gas out at like 50, maybe you're going to push to 75, and you're going to go unbroken to 75. So it just depends on who you are and your body type and stuff. But this product is, a lot of people have heard of beta alanine. Beta alanine is the old technology of this. Think of beta alanine as the iPhone 3, and this is the iPhone 15, if that makes sense, right? So this is going to help you buffer that lactic acid, recover faster. It's been clinically proven through multiple clinical trials. There's a ton of research on X Endurance's website. If you go to that link, the bit.ly link, shop Extreme Endurance, that's a link straight to the site. It's my affiliate link. So full disclosure, if you want to use that, this product though, I've never seen it anywhere else. Nobody else has this product. Elite games athletes all take it. I know Danielle does. I'm pretty sure Trista does. I don't know about any of the rest of the athletes that you work with, but athletes of the past have taken it too. Josh Bridges has been a firm supporter of X Endurance for years. Camille used to take it back in the day when she was competing. So this product has been proven, and it would be something that you can absolutely 100% get benefit from if you ordered it today, got it here, and started taking it prior to the open announcement. Okay. Sales pitch over, but it's legitimate. I'm not just trying to sell you. It's a legitimate product, and they have a 30-day money back guarantee. So you really got nothing to lose if you want to try it. Okay. So then that's the 5 products for performance. I have other products that I suggest when it comes to supplements. If you want to just go to my website, you can check it out, bigmikebarons.com/recommended supplements. It's there whenever you want to see what products I recommend for different things, different problems that you want to solve. Then everybody that gets that's registered for this webinar tonight is going to get my guide to supplements. They're called the CrossFitters Guide to Supplements. This is actually a brand new guide that I just put together. So you guys are going to be the first people to get this out in the wild, and I'm excited to get it in everybody's hands. But basically gives you a quick overview of some of the points that I covered tonight, but a little bit deeper dive on how to get started, what to do, some resources on things when it comes to adding supplements into your routine every single day. Okay. So that's my spiel on supplements. I hope that was beneficial. We are right at about an hour of this webinar. So I want to wrap us up and get us out of here and be respectful of your time. Couple quick little points to share with you guys before we do that. With the follow-up for this, you're going to get an email with a link to the recording. We're going to do a recap of the codes that Justin had. So you guys that wanted those can get some of those and DM Justin and get those guides, because those are definitely some very valuable ones. I already told him before before we started that I wanted the cycle one for my wife. So I'm definitely going to get that from him. You're going to get the CrossFitter guide from me. Then you're going to have links to contact us directly via the email, and we'll have some links to some more resources. But if you guys have questions, if you have specific questions, you can reach out to Justin directly at consistencybreedsgrowth@gmail.com, or go to their website, consistencybreedsgrowth.com/contact, or email me directly, mike@bigmikebarons.com or bigmikebarons.com/contact. And we will get back to you as fast as we can. So for myself, for the WOD Nutritionist, Justin, my man, come on, unmute yourself real quick and say thanks everybody for getting on.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. I feel really bad for the people that aren't here. They missed it. Yeah, they missed out for sure. So
definitely. All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody. I appreciate you. And I will get the recording out as fast as we can, and everybody will get a follow-up email, and just get a hold of us if you need anything. Thanks. Have a good night.